All right, let's move on to webinars. It's kind of an action-packed day. Webinars for real estate agents. Should we, as real estate agents, run webinars? And I will tell you, 100% yes, you should run webinars. Now, these don't need to be long webinars. I would do these frequently. Think of a webinar as your ability to pitch in bulk, right? Now, can you price somebody's home on a webinar? The answer would be no. Could you get somebody to unmute and join you on a webinar and talk about their home? No, they're not going to do that, so don't even try it. Can you even do like when you get on Zoom and you can see all the participants like in Brady Bunch format? Could you do that with a webinar? And the answer would be yes, but the instant that somebody gets on that webinar and they can tell that somebody else knows they're on there, they'll hop right off. We know this because we've done this before. So this needs to be webinar format. We tend to use Vimeo Live, which is about $1,000 a year. I don't know, it's gone up, since we've had it, but we use Vimeo Live. It works really well. You could do a private YouTube Live. That would work really well. Make sure you have chat so people can ask questions. You could use Zoom Webinar, which starts at $80 a month. You could use Easy Webinar. As long as you have the ability to have somebody register for the webinar, right? So that's built into Zoom, that's built into Easy Webinar. It is built into Vimeo Live. It is not built into YouTube. So you would need to have something on your website that has people register for that. But I would be doing these. And again, these can be live. They can be pre-recorded. They can be on demand. They can be any of this. I would be doing as many of these as possible because remember, we are trying to intercept people doing their research before they reach out to an agent. I can't stress how important this is. The whole reason for this entire Marketing Monday is so that I give you guys as many strategies as possible to go out there and identify as many things that you can do to identify and converse with and convert and work with as many clients that you love working with. Because when you do content right, when you breathe, like only the people that resonate with you reach out. Like I never get somebody that watches one of these videos that schedules a call with me and they're like, I don't really think you know what you're talking about. And I'm not saying that I do know what I'm talking about, right? Like a little bit of a, self-deprecating, content there. But what I'm saying is like, nobody starts off that conversation that way. They say, hey, I watched this video. It meant a lot to me. I'm thinking about X, Y, and Z. You said something about this. Can you help me? That's pretty much how all of our conversations go. That is the power of media. So 4 reasons you should be doing live or pre-recorded webinars. First thing I wrote down, they do most of the heavy sales work for you. That's really important. So all the fluff that you guys go through in listing presentations or buyer presentations, good webinars get rid of most of that outside of the gate. Second thing I wrote down, they self-select people that are looking to move now or in the near future, and they pair them up with you as the agent, right? And again, this is one-to-many content, really important. Phone's ringing off the hook today. Third thing I wrote down, people will get to know you before you meet. They'll sit down and say, Steve, I feel like I already know who you are. I've watched so many of your videos, or I've been on these webinars, or I've seen you speak here. I just have a couple questions, and depending on how these questions go, we can go from there, right? That's the best part about it. Fourth thing I wrote down, most of the time, not all the time, most of the time, they are a yes before they even show up with you. I don't mean to the webinar, I mean to the call. They are a yes before they even show up. That's really important. How long should a webinar be? And the answer is yes. And what I mean by that is if the webinar needs to be 12 minutes, I think that's totally okay. Is somebody that's thinking about buying a home going to watch a preliminary webinar for an hour? Probably not, right? So you don't want to make it an hour just to be because you think like webinars are an hour. I don't even know that webinars need to be 30 minutes. I think they need to be long enough for you to deliver the promise. And just to be clear, when I say webinar, a webinar could be a landing page followed by a video, followed by a call to action that's been pre-recorded. I would call that a webinar as well, right? A webinar could be register for my Zoom Live at Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and then you can see the recording after that. Here's those are all webinars. It doesn't matter whether they're live or whether they're pre-recorded. It's all the same thing. There is no limit to how long these should be, but I would not go a minute longer than it takes you to deliver on the promise of the webinar. It's super important. Let's talk about software really quick. Number one, we use Elementor. We use Elementor a lot across every venture that we have. We do it because it integrates with our CRM Keep. It's a pretty seamless integration with WP Fusion. And then we use Vimeo on the back end to deliver live events. Probably could make it a little bit better. Probably could make it a little bit more professional. We probably could do all of that. But that's what we use. Second thing I wrote down, you could do Zoom events. These are really, really good depending on how many people you get to the webinar. You might be thinking like, I'm not going to do a webinar. I'm just going to have like 500 people on it. 500 people aren't going to come to your webinar. I'm just going to tell you that right now. If you can get 4 to show up to your webinar twice a week, you're golden. Now, you'd think 4. Why would I do a webinar for 4 people? Well, if you could do 4 listing presentations at the same time and then sign 4 listings, would you do it? And the answer would be, of course you would do it. That's the same reason we would do 4 people in a webinar. So we don't need to hit grand slams with webinars. We just want to get a few people on it. We want to get their questions answered. And at the end, we want to invite them to schedule a call with us to get their specific questions answered so we can go from there. Next thing I wrote down, StreamYard is a really good one. StreamYard now has its own webinar component. It works really well. Actually, for the event that we are going to do on September 25th, we are probably going to use StreamYard for that. That'll be the first time we've used StreamYard in that function. It's like $100 a month. It's really good. Super easy to invite guests on if you want to do it. It's got a chat feature. I think the interface is super clean. You can broadcast it if you really want to. We'll probably end up using that going forward. And the last thing I wrote down was easywebinar.com. Easy Webinar is great as a webinar platform, but where it really excels is if you want to run evergreen webinars, which means you register for a webinar that's today at 2 o'clock, but it's already been recorded, but it doesn't start till 2 o'clock. Like you just want webinars on repeat over and over again. Easywebinar.com does that very, very, very well. If you've never done a webinar in your business before, the way that you get started is you just put up 3 posts on social. And I'm assuming that you have local people on your page, not just a bunch of real estate agents. If you do have a page right now on Facebook and it's all real estate agents, go create another one and start creating local content. Probably in another video, I'll walk you through it. I think if you go to the website, there's even a couple of videos of how we edit stock footage in DaVinci Resolve to put as shorts for YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. But if you've got a page and it's all real estate people, you need to get a new page. That page will get you referrals. Hopefully you're getting referrals from it. But at the end of the day, we want a marketing avenue, a marketing venture that will get us clients in real estate, right? So we need a page just for that. 3 posts up and say, hey, I'm going live on a webinar this Thursday at 4 o'clock, and I'm going to talk about the 3 biggest challenges people that are considering buying a home right now are facing and what I would do to overcome those. It's Thursday, it's 4 o'clock. There's no obligation. There's no sales pitch. It's totally free. I'll put the link to the webinar just above this video. It would be amazing if you could join me. I'll answer all your questions. And from there, if you have a specific question, I'll be there for you as well. All right. I love you all. See you on the webinar Thursday at 4. Talk soon. That's it. Just do something like that 3 or 4 times a week and invite everybody to do it. Would I run ads behind webinar funnels? Yes. And if you watch the first part of the show, if you're 40 minutes into the show so far, you know what I'm talking about. Webinar is the second phase of the video views campaign. Now, if you're watching this as a clip as YouTube, it's 2 videos ago. It's the same Monday marketing episode that you're watching today. But you know that after you run all of the video views campaign, the webinar funnel is the very next thing. Would I spend money on a webinar funnel? Yes, but just understand if that is the only piece of ads, only dollars you are spending on ads, I don't think it's going to do well, right? I think it needs to be a retargeting thing because people need to know a little bit more about who you are before they register for one of those. I'm not saying that you won't get registrations. You 100% will get registrations. They're just going to be a little bit more expensive and not all of them may show up. How many people will show up to my webinar that register? 40%. So if you get 100 registrations, 40 will show up. If you get 10, 4 are going to show up. Don't get emotional about this. It's how the webinar industry works, okay? If you get 20 registrations and 1 shows up, chances are we had an image, we had a promise, or we had a headline issue, meaning they don't believe that what you promised you are going to deliver on, or what you promise on delivering on, maybe they don't even think it's even worth showing up for, right? Now, of course, we're going to record it. Of course, we're going to send everybody the recording. We're going to repurpose that content as much as we can. But if you assume that 40% of the people will show up, you're in good hands. And if that's the number that happens, you're in good hands as well. You're doing well.